No human should have gone through things that my daughter went through. But the only thing I can do is continue to be strong for myself.
A terrible event that seemed impossible shook a peaceful town in Mississippi on March 15th, 2023. Ebony Owens, a devoted nurse and mother of 4, found out a terrible secret. Her husband, Michael Owens, had betrayed her in a way that could never be forgiven. But Ebony had no idea that this discovery would cost her life. At first, it was just a case of a missing person. But it quickly turned into a story of murder, lies, and heartbreak. How could someone who was so trusted be able to do something so cruel? The shocking discovery that shattered a family. No one saw the tragedy coming in Edwards, Mississippi on March 15th, 2023. People didn't commit many crimes in this town, and neighbors were like family. But that morning, everything changed for Ebony Owens, a 36-year-old nurse, mother, and community leader who was loved by everyone. She had always been the rock of her family, fiercely protective of her 4 children, and loyal to her husband, Michael Owens. But when Ebony found out that her husband was sleeping with their daughter, it was the worst thing that could have happened to her. The shock didn't stop there. This moment, which could have changed any mother's life, would be the start of Ebony's scary decline. She didn't know that finding out her husband's secret would cost her more than just a broken heart. It would be the end for her. Everything changed for Ebony as the morning went on. How could she deal with this terrible news? How far would Michael go to keep his secret safe? As the hours went by, Ebony's life, which had once been full of hopes and dreams for her kids, became a nightmare that no one could have seen coming. This discovery wasn't just a personal betrayal. It was the start of a chain of terrible events that would end in a shocking and brutal way. Now the question is it possible for anyone to get over such a bad time? The heartbreaking downfall of a loving mother. Ebony Owens was always the most important person in her family. She grew up in the small town of Edwards, where she was known for being kind, selfless, and very dedicated to the health and happiness of others. Her 4 kids were the most important people in her life. Even though she was going through a lot of problems, she gave her family all of her love and energy in the hopes of giving them the best life possible. As a nurse, she showed her caring side even more, which made her a well-liked person in her community. People called her Candy Lady because she always had candy for the kids in her neighborhood. Ebony's marriage was far from perfect, even though she gave a lot of love. For years, her marriage to Michael Owens had been getting worse. What began as a good relationship had slowly turned into a bad one, full of emotional problems. Even though Ebony did everything she could to keep things together, Michael's troubled past started to cast a dark shadow over their lives. Did Ebony know how bad things were getting in her marriage? As time went on, it became clear that their relationship was getting worse. Ebony tried hard to keep things normal for her kids, but the stress on her marriage would eventually have a tragic effect that would affect many people. Would Michael's secrets ruin this family's once happy life forever? A shocking betrayal, the discovery that changed everything. Ebony Owens walked into a nightmare she never saw coming on March 14th, 2023. That day, she found something so terrible that it would change her life forever and eventually lead to her tragic death. Ebony was a devoted wife and mother. She found her husband, Michael Owens, in bed with their own daughter. The betrayal was so deep that it seemed impossible to understand. How could the man she loved, the father of her children, betray her in such a terrible way? Ebony was devastated, heartbroken, and so angry that she could barely control herself. How would she deal with such a horrible truth? In that moment of silence, a new reality started to take shape, one that Ebony could never have seen coming. The man she had trusted with her life and her family had done the worst thing possible to her. What was Ebony going to do next? Could she ever get back on her feet after finding out something so terrible? After that, there was a lot of emotion, confusion, and most frighteningly, fear. Ebony was scared for her own safety, not just for her family's future. She didn't know that her life was about to get even worse as she struggled with the terrible truth. The mysterious disappearance. Was she running or hiding? On March 15th, 2023, Ebony Owens vanished without a trace and was never seen again. This was very out of character for her. It was not typical of her to vanish without a trace. She was a woman who had always been there for her community, in addition to being a dedicated mother and a qualified nurse who was held in high esteem. Almost immediately, her family, friends, and co-workers were all starting to feel concerned. The woman who had a habit of making sure that she was there for other people was nowhere to be seen at this point. A white 2015 Acura TL150 that she was driving was discovered on the side of the road when it caught fire. The license plate of the vehicle was thrown away nearby. However, wherever was Ebony? There is a possibility that she simply departed in order to escape the agony of the information that she discovered the previous evening. Or was there something that was on a far more serious level? As the hours passed without any communication from Ebony, the situation started to deteriorate. It wasn't until the following day that the situation began to deteriorate, despite the fact that her family was yearning for answers. The search for Ebony, a community united in fear. As the search for Ebony Owens grew more intense, the small town of Edwards was filled with fear and confusion. People who had known Ebony as a kind and reliable mother, friend, and nurse now had to face the fact that something terrible had happened. Days went by without a sign of her, and the community, which had once been close friends, was now sad and unsure. The search teams looked everywhere. But things got scary when the police started looking at the Big Black River. Authorities thought that Ebony's body might have been thrown away there, but they had a lot of trouble because the water moved quickly. There was hidden debris, and it was hard to see, even though there were problems. The search teams kept going because they wanted to help Ebony's family find peace. Was there more to this than just someone going missing? The situation got worse as time went on. Would they find her in the river, or would they never know where she went? The search for the missing woman turned into a fight for the truth as the days went by. Was Ebony's disappearance really just a random event? Or was there something more evil going on? Every clue found in the river and every new lead in the case only made the mystery deeper. The question that haunted them was whether the truth about what happened to Ebony would ever come out. The sinister revelation, her body found in the river. After days of looking, Ebony Owens' family and the Edwards community's worst fears came true. Ebony's body was found in the Big Black River on March 25, 2023. It was sad to see her body being pulled from the water, which marked the end of a search that had seemed to go on forever. But this was just the start of a bigger mystery that would shake everyone to their core. How did Ebony's body end up in that river? The events leading up to her disappearance now made it seem like murder, not just a random tragedy. The clues were starting to make sense to the investigators, and they all pointed to the same horrible conclusion. Michael Owens, her husband, was involved. The burned car, the license plate that had been thrown away, and now her body in the river. These were not the signs of a simple missing person case. They talked about something much worse. As the investigation went on, more disturbing facts came to light. Ebony's violent end seemed to be caused by the shocking discovery that her husband had cheated on her. But how could the father of her children, who had once been trusted with her life, become so cruel? The truth was starting to come out, and it was worse than anyone could have thought. What would Michael do to hide his crimes? And how far would he go to keep his dark secrets from coming out? Michael Owens under suspicion. As the investigation went on, the net around Michael Owens got tighter. At first, Michael was helpful, even helping to look for his wife who was missing. But the more the police looked into what he did, the more inconsistencies they found. How could someone who loved Ebony and was so close to her be so out of touch when it came to finding out the truth? The order of events and how he acted were big red flags. It quickly became clear that Michael was much more involved in Ebony's disappearance than he first let on. The police put together phone records, video from security cameras, and his own contradictory statements. Michael was the last person to see Ebony alive, and his movements the night she went missing put him close to her car, which was found burned on the side of the road just a few hours later. The fire and the finding of Ebony's body in the river only confirmed what the investigators had feared the most. The physical evidence pointed directly to Michael, but he still said he hadn't done anything wrong. Every lie he told seemed to make the truth even less clear. The trial begins. A cold confrontation in court. There was a lot of tension in the courtroom when Michael Owens's trial started in September 2025. The case had already caught the attention of the whole country and the local community. Every new piece of evidence made the man who was once seen as a trusted member of society look worse. People were excited to hear what Michael had to say in his defense, but what they heard shocked them to their core. Michael confessed to killing Ebony while on the stand, but his explanation was terrifying. He said that what he did was a crime of passion because he found his wife in bed with another man. Michael says he shot her in self-defense because he was angry and scared for his own safety. But the prosecution quickly tore apart his defense, saying that this was not a spur-of-the-moment act, but a planned murder. The prosecution had a lot of strong evidence against Michael, like the fact that he lied many times during the investigation and planned to destroy evidence by setting fire to Ebony's car and throwing her body into the Big Black River. Every piece of evidence showed that the man had planned to kill his wife without any feelings. Was this really a crime of passion, as Michael said, or was it the result of years of anger and lies? As the trial went on, the jury had to face the scary truth. Michael Owens had carefully covered up all the evidence of his crime, and now he would have to face the consequences. A cold verdict for a heartless crime. The jury finally made its decision after days of tense testimony. On September 8th, 2025, they made their decision, which echoed through the courtroom. Michael Owens was guilty of first-degree murder and third-degree arson. It was so quiet in the room when the judge read the verdict that it was deafening. It made Ebony Owens' family feel like they had gotten justice, but it also made them realize that nothing could ever bring her back. It was clear that those who loved Ebony were relieved, but the emotional toll of her death would last long after the trial. Michael Owens was taken away in handcuffs, and his cold, distant demeanor was very different from the tears of Ebony's family. They had been waiting for this moment for months, but even with the conviction, it didn't help them move on. The courtroom's decision could never take away the pain of losing Ebony, who was a mother, sister, and daughter. The Owens family had lost their beloved Ebony, and now they had to accept that justice had been done, but it was too late to save her life. Michael Owens' conviction sent a strong message that betrayal and domestic violence would not be tolerated. As Ebony's family dealt with their loss, the trial became more than just a legal case. It was a sad reminder of how dangerous it is to let your feelings, lies, and violence run wild in a marriage. Justice for Ebony, but a family forever changed. Michael Owens was given a life sentence on September 8th, 2025, after a long and public trial that shocked the community. He was also given 3 more years for the arson charges. He had killed his wife, Ebony Owens, in a brutal way. Ebony's family was happy and sad when the sentence was final. The law had been followed, but the emotional scars from her death would never heal. Ebony was more than just a victim. She was a friend, mother, sister, and daughter to many. A horrible act took her life, full of promise and kindness, and changed the lives of everyone who knew and loved her forever. People came to her funeral to pay their respects and remember her. Friends, family, and people from the community filled the church and told stories about how kind and warm Ebony had been throughout her life. She was a shining example of selflessness, and her legacy of love would live on. But for her kids, the pain of losing their mother was something that would never go away. Her loss was a harsh reminder of how quickly things can change and how deeply betrayal can hurt. Ebony's death became a rallying cry for justice, reminding everyone that they should never ignore the signs of abuse, no matter how hidden they may seem. Michael Owens is now dealing with the consequences of his actions, but the real cost of his crime will always be felt by those he left behind, especially her kids, who will grow up without the woman who loved them the most.